as it's now the international break, it's the best time possible to be talking about the summer transfer window that we've just seen. And with the £2 billion and more spent over this summer, I think it's time to kind of ask the both of you, who have been some of your favourite signings and who are some of your signings to watch? So we've all got 5 each. We've all kind of got to go through goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, wingers, and strikers as well. So we'll go in order so it's easier for our listeners and definitely easy for our editors as well. So, Lewis, I'll start with you. Have there been any goalkeepers that you've been looking at in terms of a transfer that you thought, oh, this would be a good move for them? They're actually going to improve their self now as well? Or is there not many goalkeepers that have kind of improved with their move so far?
The only one of note that I can really think of, no goalkeeper, a bit of a spoiler alert, has made the top 5 in my list, but the one that comes straight to my mind is James Trafford, who now plays for Burnley. He moved from Man City. And I just think that coming off the back of winning the Euros with England without conceding a goal, it's the next logical step for his development. And it's time to play big boy football. So I think ultimately he'll do well. And if Burnley, God forbid, go down for Burnley fans, I think that he'll have plenty of suitors from the Premier League and abroad.
Definitely. And for the best defender being signed, Travis, I'll go with you for this one. There's a defender that you thought, you know what, he's going to have a good time at this new club, he's going to suit the system. Who's the kind of player that's come to mind for you?
I think I would have to go with Guardiola joining Man City. I think he's probably the most, or was until he moved to City, the most sought after centre-back in world football. I think if you gave any club a blank check and said, go and sign a centre-back with this blank check, I think he would have been probably top of the list for 90% of the clubs. And it's just City improving again year on year on year, isn't it? So, yeah, very good.
Cancelo leaving as well, Gavardio could be that left centre-back and Ake could be left-back or vice versa as well, which would be very useful for Pep Guardiola moving forward, developing another young centre-back into an all-action defender, as you see with a lot of Pep Guardiola defenders nowadays.
Yeah, I would agree. He seems to fit perfectly into that system. He's very versatile, tactically versatile as well. So, yeah, I think he'll be a great sign. I think by the end of the season, I think we'll be talking about him as one of the best centre-halves in the league and the world.
Yeah. That's an easy prediction because Pep Guardiola always does that with his players. He doesn't really sign many duds because a lot of players, when they sign for Manchester City, everyone's like, oh yeah, they flopped in their first season, but then their second season, they become a monster. And when they become a monster, they become unstoppable. And that may happen with Gavardio. If he doesn't have a good season this season, fair enough. But next season he's going to turn up. And that's what a lot of players do at Manchester City, unfortunately for me. Midfielder, I'm going to take this one. It's the easiest one out there. Jude Bellingham, Borussia Dortmund to Real Madrid, £105 million. Scored the winner on the weekend as well at his new home, the Santiago Bernabeu 2.0 or 4.0, however many times I've updated it. Easy one. We spoke about him glowingly last week, Travis, as well. So I'll let you pick the best new winger, basically, from the summer signings. Who you go for, Travis?
I'm going to go for Diaby joining Aston Villa. Everything, I mean, I've got a smile on my face just talking about him. Everything I've seen from this guy so far, he looks like he's going to be an absolute bona fide superstar. He's just got everything. He's so quick. On the ball, he's so tight as well. He doesn't really lose the ball very often. And he's been productive as well. He's been popping up with goals and assists already. He looks like he's been playing in that Villa team under Emery for 10 years. Such a professional looking player. I think by the end of the season, there's going to be some real massive interest in him. He just looks like he's got everything for me.
I mean, PSG wanted Moussa Diaby earlier this season. So did the club in Saudi Arabia. I haven't remembered their name respectively, but Aston Villa were the first to contact him after the season ended. So he honoured that agreement and he went to Aston Villa to work under Unai Emery and potentially competing in the Europa Conference League. So fair play, Moussa Diaby. And when I went to watch Bayern Leverkusen last season, a lot of their fans were saying he's just as quick as Mbappe. And I was like, yeah. Then I went on and watched the game and then he was very, very quick. And I've seen both Mbappe live and Diaby live. And they're both very quick players to watch and appreciate as well. So I'm looking forward to more Moussa Diaby this season. But yeah, Marcus Thuram is a firecracker of a striker. And the fact that he wasn't sought after more by PSG, by Manchester United, by anyone this summer goes to show people's scouting departments aren't really earning their money properly. And Inter Milan have got a killer up front and they replaced Romelu Lukaku in the right way. They replaced Edin Dzeko in the right way. And with Marcus Thuram, I'm actually so excited to watch Inter Milan more this season because some of their new players will actually help him become a world beater, in my opinion. I think he's going to help Serie A become a lot more exciting than a lot of other leagues in their title races, respectively, this season. So shout out Marcus Thuram. Keep doing what you're doing, and I'm a big fan of Marcus Thuram, especially from his time at Borussia Mönchengladbach as well. You mentioned niche, Lewis. I'm going to give everyone a niche just before we move on to our next topic, is best value for money signing. So it can be anywhere in the pitch, anywhere in the world. You can even say Lionel Messi if you want to Inter Miami, but I'm not going to go down that route. Best value for money signing. Travis, let's start with you. Where in the world do you think who's got the best bargain so far?
I'm very tempted to be very biased here and swing for Maddison, but yeah, do you know what I'm going to? I'm going to say James Maddison. My alternative, and what I was going to say up until now, was Alexis McAllister, because I think that everybody was so surprised when this kind of secret release clause that nobody knew about popped up and Liverpool grabbed him for 35 million. It's just an absolute bargain, considering people were talking about him going for potentially triple that. But with Maddison, I just think that he will transform Tottenham in a way that McAllister won't do for Liverpool. I think he'll be a great signing, McAllister, don't get me wrong, but Maddison, I think, really will be the difference for Spurs this season. And for 40 million, it's a lot of money, 40 million, but it's a bargain in the sense that he will be that guy for Tottenham, and we're seeing that already. I'm really excited to see what we can achieve with him at the club, to be fair.
Nicely done. Travis, you've gone for James Maddison as your number one and McAllister as your second one. Do you think Alexis McAllister is at the right club? Because Dominic Szoboszlai is the one kind of more of an attacking player so far for Liverpool, and he's thriving. He's doing really well. Is it a change of role from what you've seen at Alexis McAllister for Liverpool, or not so much? What do you think?
I think you're quite right. I think Szoboszlai has been a bit more impressive so far. I think he's probably taken to life at Liverpool a bit quicker than McAllister has. But I think you've got to remember when McAllister started becoming integrated into the Brighton first team, took him a little bit of time to adapt and get up to speed. I think if we give him that time as well at Liverpool, he'll show just how good he can be. And we've also got to remember that Liverpool have transformed their midfield over the course of the summer. It's not like he's coming into a settled midfield of, Henderson and Fabinho plus him, or Thiago and Fabinho plus him. It's been massively changed, and they've got to find that dynamic between himself, Szoboszlai, and then Gravenberch or Endo, whoever that third midfielder is. And I think eventually, again, given a few weeks, they'll settle into a bit of a rhythm and a bit of a way of playing together, and we'll see the best out of all three of them, because they're all fantastic talents, aren't they?
Definitely. And I found out today that actually their new midfielder, Endo, he's also a football blogger as well. So we'll talk about that next time we're on the podcast, because we'll get a bit more information on the fact that a professional footballer blogs about football, which is quite funny, actually. So
that is cool, to be fair.
We'll talk about that next time, Travis. It'll be fun. Lewis, again, I like your topic of having a niche transfer. But yeah, best value for money transfer. Are you going to Union Berlin? Because they've had a couple of niche transfers for their first upcoming Champions League campaign, or have I completely gone left field with you there?
You know what? You've gone a little bit left field. However, I do think that Union Berlin are one to definitely keep your eye on. I remember when the pandemic happened and no one could really watch anything but the Bundesliga. My podcast, That's the Way the Cookie Crumbles, did cover the Bundesliga for about 2 months straight. And one of our co-hosts, Stan's team, was Union Berlin. So it's really funny to see how far they've come in such a short amount of time. Obviously, like you said, in the Champions League, and Brandon Aronson, I'd say Datro Fofana off the top of my head, and they're just a couple of the exciting players that they've got. But we're going to France, Hamz. We're going to Paris specifically, and the player I would like to pick for my bargain is Sergio Asensio, who
free transfer.
He's gone for a free to Paris Saint-Germain from Real Madrid, and he was incredible at the weekend. They absolutely battered Lyon on Sunday, and I just think for value for money, for someone with so much experience, he's won so much in the game already. It just adds a lot of pedigree to that PSG team, with Spanish-speaking manager as well and Spanish national manager Luis Enrique. It's just a great combination, and very smart business from Paris, Hamz, I think, who have moved away from the Hollywood model, getting rid of Messi, getting rid of Neymar and potentially keeping Mbappe. So it's very smart from Paris when in the past they've definitely not been smart.
Yeah, also getting rid of Sergio Ramos from this contract as well. So a lot of their failed Galacticos, I would say, have kind of moved on, and it's all about Mbappe and how they can build a team around him. We saw how Cristiano Ronaldo had his team built around him at Real Madrid. We've seen Lionel Messi's team built around him. If they're going to build a team around a player, it's got to be the up-and-coming superstar who can actually turn up in big games, who can threaten opposition just by a feint of a body or a drop of a shoulder. And that's what Kylian Mbappe has done. But I'm looking forward to seeing Asensio in the starting role. And we've been seeing that a lot because their front three was quite crazy on the weekend. Because you've got Mbappe on the left. Then you've got two right midfielders, Asensio and Dembele. But Asensio then plays as a false nine, allowing Mbappe to drift into the middle. So they're all over the place. And it's a fun type of chaos from PSG because they know they can do that in Ligue 1. So it's going to be fun to see how they do in this season's Champions League, especially with their group stage. It's going to be crazy seeing them against Newcastle, if I remember correctly. Newcastle, AC Milan, Dortmund is their group of death, which will be great fun for Kylian Mbappe. Right, my bargain is going to be a very boring one. I'm going to go for Harry Kane to Bayern Munich because I definitely think Harry Kane to Bayern Munich for 1 year left on his contract for around £100 million for one of the best strikers we've seen in the last 7 years in world football for £100 million like that is crazy. And I'm looking.
Can you call that a bargain?
I can call that a bargain because I'm being a bit chaotic today. Because we've seen all these £100 million players, Dembele, Coutinho. Who else we've seen? We've seen Lukaku for 100 million. We've seen João Felix for 100 million pounds. We've seen so many of these players fail after being 100 million pounds. Harry Kane is the established product. He scored 2 goals already in the Bundesliga so far this season. He didn't score on the weekend in their tight game against Borussia Mönchengladbach as well. But I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses in the Champions League. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can take his leadership role and settle into the German champion side as well and becoming this mainstay number 9. We want him all to succeed from my point of view. I want him to succeed massively at Bayern Munich, but just not against Man United in the home leg and especially the away leg in match day 1 of the Champions League. But yeah, my best value for money signing, I'm gonna be left field as well. I'm gonna go for Christian Pulisic to AC Milan. Free transfer as well. We've spoken about Kamada already on the podcast, Travis. So instead of going for Kamada again, who scored against Napoli, I'm going to go for Christian Pulisic because I think Christian Pulisic may have finally found a home at AC Milan where he's appreciated, where he's going to be playing as one of the star players because in his mind, he's a star player of his national country. So his national team, for his country. So he's going to have to make sure he's going to be the star every week for AC Milan. They're going to be in European football again. They are going to be looking to compete in Serie A once again. And when you've got Christian Pulisic and Rafael Leao on either side of the wing with Olivier Giroud up front, it's going to be very difficult for Serie A defenses to take on this attack, really. And Lewis, obviously, you've spoke glowingly about Christian Pulisic in the past and obviously quite negatively, more so negatively on our podcast than on your podcast, The Cookie Crumbles as well. But talk to us about what Christian Pulisic can actually bring to this AC Milan side.
So with Christian Pulisic, there's the whole question of can he stay fit? And ultimately, the answer is no for his time at Chelsea. And if he can keep himself fit at AC Milan, I mentioned it before about Serie A being slightly slower and maybe for players that aren't really cutting it in the Prem, they can go there and maybe look a little bit better than they are. A la Romelu Lukaku, prime example of someone that does that. And
he can still do it at Roma. You never know.
Exactly.
What is it, 4th time's the charm in a different country now for Romelu Lukaku? It's crazy. Yeah,
he's been around and I just think that if we're on about Lukaku, it really wouldn't surprise me if he had a really good season with Jose and Roma. And I think it's the 3rd time that they've linked up now, Hamz.
Yeah, they did it, Chelsea, they've done it at Man United.
Now Roma.
Now that Roma, which is crazy. Another Roma player I'm looking forward to seeing is Hossein Aouar, who's gone on a free transfer from Lyon to Roma as well. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens there with Roma this season.